Welcome to Shiftfaced Eats. This is our very first segment of Shiftfaced Eats, where two service industry professionals, Tony and myself, Sam here, review a local restaurant and make suggestions for both consumers and restaurateurs.
That's right.
So tonight we are reviewing Jamjar.
Jamjar.
Tell us about Jamjar, Tony.
Jamjar. It is a Lebanese restaurant, Lebanese/Mediterranean restaurant. It's quite popular. There's one location. Well, it first opened up in 2014, I want to say, on Commercial Drive, and they've been quite successful. Actually, it's been by two guys. They opened it up together. One of them, I believe, is from Abu Dhabi, which is the United Arab Emirates.
Right.
That's where Dubai is, people. And then the other guy is from Lebanon, and they met through some mutual friends here in Vancouver, and they decided to start this restaurant on Commercial Drive. And just recently, I believe it's in the past year or so, just recently they opened up a second location, actually, on South Granville.
South Canby, isn't it?
Granville, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, South Granville, where Vidges used to be back in the day. Well, back in the day, like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Right.
Anyway, so we thought this might be a good place for us to go as our first interview.
Yeah, so their thing is it's Lebanese style food. It's for sharing. And they are into like doing fresh local food with that's free of preservatives.
That's right.
Which and all sounds great, right?
Yes, and it's tapas style.
Right. Tapas style and sharing, and they do tasting menus. Which
is one of my favorite things on earth. Tapas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Style restaurants. They're absolutely, like, I love them. Because you get to taste a little bit of everything. You get to try a little bit of everything. And you can pair different dishes with different drinks and wine and beer. And it's great. It's great. It's not, you're not just basically...
sitting down to a giant meal and then getting up and leaving.
That's right.
There's a little bit more going on there.
Thank you for helping me there, Sam.
You're welcome. So with these reviews, we're basically going to be doing systematic reviews with 5 categories to consider. So the first being atmosphere. Second is drink selection and quality. Then we have food selection and quality.
That's right.
Service, which is a big one for us for sure. And value, and then we're going to give it an overall rating. And Tony and I are each going to give a rating in each category, and we're going to discuss why we thought that way. And then we're going to come to an agreement and give the restaurant an overall review together. Yeah,
the whole I just want to make this clear that the whole purpose of this review is that we thought that it might be interesting to both consumers diners who would go to these restaurants, to kind of hear it from a couple professionals of the quality of quality of service, the menu, and just the atmosphere and just the overall feel. And also I want to kind of make this out to the restaurateurs themselves, the proprietors, that if we, let's say we do go to a place and we try something, and let's say something happens, something we didn't like the service, we didn't like something about the menu, or whatever. This is a good way. This is a good way for us to actually try to help, bring some value to the proprietors as well, of what we think would be a good solution.
Yeah, offer some suggestions to improve the guest experience.
Yeah, exactly, and it's coming from a professional viewpoint versus just a random
someone who's never worked in
person
the
on Yelp. You know, like, fuck that noise.
Yeah. So let's get into it with Jamjar here.
Jamjar.
So the first category, atmosphere. What did you think? How did you feel?
Atmosphere. Okay, so as soon as I got in, I noticed 2 things. One, it was very rustic, which I like.
Yeah.
It gives it character. And 2, I noticed that it was a little cramped. It was a little small.
Okay.
Some would say cozy. It wasn't anything that made me uncomfortable. It just seemed very small. But overall, I just really liked it. It was very, not just rustic, but like traditional.
Yeah.
What you would expect to see in in a market in Lebanon somewhere.
Right.
With just a decor. And one thing I did notice, which is awesome, is one of the first things that you actually do see as soon as you walk in. You see an oven. It's a specially made oven, which is made to make a type of pita bread, but not really pita bread. Saj, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, which is like a Lebanese style pita bread, I guess is one way to describe it.
Yeah, and it's they make it in a very traditional manner, and they have the oven. They have the oven right there and there. You can see it, and it's really cool. So the atmosphere, I really did enjoy it, even though it was a little small. Maybe I only thought of that because it was just very busy. They did have a communal table, which I like. I think
they had a
cool.
couple.
They had a couple. They had two. That's right. You're right. They had a couple. They had. They did not have a patio. They did not have outdoor seating. But yeah, that's what I thought. What did you think?
So what did you give? What rating did you give it out of 5?
What rating? Well, I want to hear what you thought, and then I'll give you my rating. What do you think?
Well, I agree with most of what you're saying. I actually liked the fact that it was kind of small and cozy. The atmosphere, I really liked the rustic decor as well. I liked how it was kind of open, like the bar was right there. I found the staff to be generally friendly, and I really liked that it was a huge window. So it was very airy and bright, and you're sort of like have the feeling of like almost sitting right on the street.
Yes.
So I really liked that. So I actually gave it 4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5
for atmosphere.
Okay, cool. I gave it 3.5 out of 5.
Oh, well, based on what you said, it seems like you would have given a higher rating.
Yes, I would. There are other restaurants that I would go to that I would give probably a higher rating as far as atmosphere goes.
Okay, fair enough.
That one. I only say this because I also thought that they were really trying to basically get a lot of real estate out of their what they had, out of the space that they had.
Right.
So I did find it a little cramped. Especially that's the thing with me in restaurants. It's like I like to go, if I'm going there, like, you know, the two of us are going there, we're sitting somewhere, I like to just have a little bit of space between my table and another table. But I felt like it was one of those places that the deuces, the tables of two, are very close to one another. So I could easily basically, I'm not going to get it, but I could easily hear what the couple next to us were talking about.
Yeah, I find that true of most restaurants these days.
Not all of them. Most restaurants, sure. There are some out there that they actually take that into consideration, I think. And they kind of space it out a little bit and take advantage of spacing somewhere else versus just like, hey, let's just shove everything close to each other.
Right.
But then again,
they have a very small space to work with. They do have a
very small space. But either way, I gave it 3.5 out of 5. I did like the rusticness. I understand why you gave it 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you in saying with the large windows, and it was bright. And yes, I did really enjoy it. And mind you, we went there during the daytime.
No, we didn't. We were there at like
there was light out.
7 p.m.
There was light out.
Sure.
I would have liked to see that restaurant at nighttime to see what the lighting inside would be like. If it was going to see if the lighting inside, which I have no idea, if it's like a little bit dim, then it would give it that coziness at nighttime. And
yeah, I could see that.
But
all right, so moving on from atmosphere, we are going to discuss the drink selection and quality next.
Drink selection and quality. Yes, that's right. So a couple things that I did really like. I liked, which is something that most restaurants these days in Vancouver especially do, is that they offer, as far as beer selection goes, they offer local beer, local beer, craft beer, which they should, because craft beer in Vancouver is fantastic. And why waste your time offering fucking Kokanee or Heineken?
Mass-produced beer. Yeah,
like,
totally.
fuck that. So I did like that. I did like their selection. They had different sizes for beers. They had, like, I believe a 12 ounce and a 16 ounce.
Right.
And I like places where they offer a true pint, which is 20 ounces. Here in Canada, it's 20 ounces, not 16.
Not really anymore. It's very hard to find places that do that anymore.
There are a couple places that you and I visit quite often.
There are. But they're still hard to find.
They're still hard to find. Anyway, but overall, I thought it was good. And their cocktail selection. So I want to talk about this a little tiny bit. Their cocktail selection, I actually did like quite a bit because of one reason only, because they made it their own.
Yeah.
They took popular cocktails like a sour, whiskey sour, and they made it their own by adding that Lebanese flavor to it.
Right.
For instance, they had a sumac sour.
Yeah.
Sumac being a very popular Middle Eastern spice.
Yep.
And they basically used that in one of their drinks. There was another one that I saw. I think it was it was a gin drink, but it had bird-eye chilies in it. Either way, what they did with their cocktails, that they made
they have their own program, and that's
they didn't just have a whiskey sour,
right?
So that made it very, very interesting. So if you're a fan of cocktails, I highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I did really much like that, and
they also had this traditional Lebanese shot.
They did,
which we ordered and had, and that was called the doo-doo.
Yep.
And that had a stuffed olive in it. The olive was stuffed with, I believe, onion and red pepper.
Yeah, and the doo-doo that we had was vodka with I believe a little bit of lemon juice and Tabasco and hot sauce.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
It was intense. I liked it.
I didn't know what to expect. So, I mean, I am not a fan of vodka. So, for me, I just wanted to try it because it was, on the menu it said it's a traditional Lebanese shot, best enjoyed with mezze with friends, which is what we were doing. So I was like, you know what, we're here, why not? Let's do it.
Yep.
If we went back, I would not do that again, but that's just because of my own preferences about shots.
I very much enjoyed it.
Vodka is not one of my favorites.
But
I thought it was cool that they had that.
It was very cool, right? Now, having said all of this, I would give this a higher rating than what I'm actually going to give it. I'm only giving this rating because one of the main reasons why I'm giving this rating, which the rating is going to be 3.5 out of 5, by the way.
Okay.
I'm giving that because you ordered a glass of red wine, and I tried it, and I found that the temperature of the red wine was not good at all. It was room temperature warm. Yeah. And I don't enjoy red wine like that. Depends on the wine, of course.
Okay.
But I thought it should have been like a little tiny, slightly chilled, like how you would keep a red wine in a wine fridge.
In a red wine fridge.
Wine fridge. Yep. And I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if it was chilled a tiny bit, because their, in which we'll come to this, their whole food and everything it's based on freshness and and just freshness and just something that you can have like on a nice hot summer day, getting a red wine at room temperature, or even like it felt warmer. I don't know, for some fucking reason, but I don't know. I didn't enjoy that at all. That's why I gave it 3.5 out of 5.
Interesting. So I gave it 4 out of 5 for drinks and drink selection because of what we basically just talked about. Good cocktail program. Interesting, like Lebanese drinks and shots, which is awesome. And the wine selection wasn't huge. Like by the glass, they had 4 options. However, they were all from different countries, and I thought that they showcased good variety,
which is great. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I gave it 4.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Cool. Yeah. Food selection. What'd you think, Sam?
So food selection
and quality.
Selection I thought was great. Especially for me being a vegetarian. Most of their stuff is vegetarian, which I enjoy very much, obviously. And I like the fact that they have their tasting menu, but also you can do a la carte, and there's quite a bit of different menu items.
Yep.
For quality, overall, the food is good.
It was.
There were certain things that stood out for sure that were a lot better than others, and there were certain things that I felt weren't great and could have definitely been improved.
Sure.
So we got the Taste of Lebanon, Tony and I, which is $61 for a 3-course tasting menu, where you're intended to share everything. So the first course is cold mezze, and it was a quattro of dips. So you had hummus, spinach dip, red pepper dip, and roasted eggplant dip.
That's right.
And it's served with saj, so the Lebanese style pita bread.
Yes.
I thought all the dips were really good. The hummus was really creamy. The spinach dip was good. The red pepper dip had like a good amount of spiciness, and I always love roasted eggplant dips. So that was good too.
So, okay, let me just stop you there. Were you about to go on the second course and talk about that?
Well, no, there was a couple other things with the first course.
Okay.
It was the feta.
Yep.
And the I think it's called
Olives.
Mac Deuce. Yeah, Mac Deuce, which is a pickled eggplant stuffed
pickled
with
eggplant.
like
That's right.
nuts and pepper. Oh yeah, and there were some olives. So overall, I think the first course was like offered a variety of different stuff, which was great.
Right. So I think we should just go course by course. I'll tell you what I thought of the first course. The first course I thought was great because it gave you a little, it gave you options to try different dips.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the spinach dip was fantastic. It tasted very fresh.
Mm-hmm.
It tasted very light. And it just went really well with my beer. I would have really enjoyed it with a nice high acidic white wine.
Mm-hmm.
The roasted red pepper dip was very good. I thought it was savory and just quite delicious and had a little bit of kick to it, which I really enjoyed. I would say the hummus was a bit of a letdown for me. I thought that the hummus was, I know you said creamy and you like that. I think to me, and this is something we actually discussed while we were there, and I thought it was creamy because they add a little too much of a neutral olive oil to the dish. So it made it creamy, but it didn't add a lot of flavor.
Right. And that's something where you and I differ a little bit, where in terms of like flavor and spices, you like more full flavored stuff a little bit more than I do. Mm-hmm. So that's probably where we differ on that one, but I actually really liked the hummus.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, you and I, we have hummus all the time.
Oh yeah.
We try different hummuses all the time.
Yeah.
And usually we do agree on that.
That's true.
That what's good and what's not good.
Well, you didn't think it was not good.
I didn't think it was not good. No. But
I didn't think it was the best ever.
But I think it could have been better.
Right.
Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that.
The eggplant, this brings us to the next one, which is interesting because the eggplant dip, I thought it was a little, I know you just mentioned like he likes,
You're going to say bland?
Yeah. Not bland. Yeah. Like they could have added a little bit more spice to it.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know
cumin was something that just crossed my mind.
Right.
But I mean, I'm just saying, compared to the spinach dip and the roasted red pepper dip, the other two were not as good, is all I'm saying. The cheese was absolutely fantastic.
The feta cheese was good.
The feta cheese was delicious.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of dairy mixed with herbs, like a herb goat cheese.
It was very fresh.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Olives were good. And that's what I thought for as far as the first course goes. Went. What about you? Second course. What
So
you
the
got,
second
mama?
course was the hot mezze, which was
Is it mezze or meze?
I don't know.
I think it's meze.
Okay, I kind of go back and forth between the two.
Yeah, I think you think it's like pizza.
I don't know. Anyway,
It's not pizza.
Meze,
it's pizza.
I guess.
Meze.
So there was a lentil stew, there was a cauliflower, there was falafel, and then there was a salad. It's called a fattoush salad, which is like lettuce, cucumber, and like crispy sage pieces, and some herbs. And I thought it was all very good. However, I found the cauliflower too salty. But I really, really enjoyed the salad. It was very fresh.
Salad was fantastic.
And very tasty with the herbs and the dressing that they had there.
Yeah, and it was like, we're trying to figure out what was, for some reason I was thinking of rose water or something. There was something in that dressing that just made it.
And the lentil stew I loved.
Was very good.
Yeah, I love lentils. And
I like the cauliflower. I know you said a little bit too salty.
You really liked it.
I really enjoyed it. I think it was a pomegranate, I believe, that it was marinated in. It was a pomegranate paste.
Yeah. That's not salty, though.
No, that's what I mean. I don't know where you were getting from salty because I tried it multiple times and I was like, I
found it very salty.
Very interesting.
The falafel was good. I enjoyed the falafel.
Oh, the falafel was
very,
very
good. Crispy on the outside, like almost hard to cut into, where you're like, oh, this might be dry. But then on the inside, it's so fluffy and moist. It was really good.
Yeah, I highly agree with you on that one.
So then the third course came. And the third course was basically for you.
Yes. So I'll go with this one. So the third course was supposed to be chicken, beef, and lamb,
and fish.
So this is something that's going to actually kind of blend into the service part of things. What happened was that we ordered it. I'm waiting for it. It comes out, and the server tells us that, oh, sorry, we ran out of the lamb, so we replaced it with more chicken.
Right.
I wish I knew that before.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, they should have communicated that
better.
But that's
not food based.
No. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
So anyway, what do you think of their chicken and beef and the fish?
I'm going to be completely honest. The third course was a letdown. Completely a letdown.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say. The chicken was it was too dry.
Yeah.
Didn't have many flavors. It came with this garlic aioli or garlic sauce, which you would usually get like at a shawarma place.
Right.
Sure, a shawarma place off the street if you want to get a shawarma or doner or something like that. It came with that. So basically the chicken mixed with that sauce, it was good. But you made a good point because I mentioned this to you and you said, well, it shouldn't have to be. The chicken on its own should be good.
Yeah.
The chicken on its own should be juicy and should be flavorful.
Yeah.
So the chicken was a bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
I was kind of upset that I didn't get my lamb. The beef, it was a beef kebab or something like that.
No, it was like a little beef patty, and it was basically their take on a little bit of like a shepherd's pie thing. So it's minced beef in like a little patty. Anyway, I obviously didn't try it. So
I tried it. It was okay.
Yeah.
It didn't blow my mind. It was fine.
Yeah, the fish.
It wasn't bad. The fish was horrendous.
It was bad.
It was horrendous.
It was very dry and very bland.
There
was nothing to it.
It was like, it kind of got me upset because I'm like, man, you're doing so good with everything else and you just fucked this one thing up. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe something happened in the kitchen. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just, the fish was just horrible. And that is a dish you could just order on its own, and man, I would be upset if I ordered that.
Right, for like $14 or $16 or whatever it was. So after that course, we ordered dessert, which we don't typically do, but since we were doing this systematic review, we thought, we'd want to try a bit of everything.
That's right.
So we got one dessert to share. I can't recall what it was called, but it was basically a couple of date squares. And then there was a little mason jar of vanilla ice cream on the plate. And then also on the plate, there was like some berry coulis and some chopped nuts.
That's right.
And I fucking loved the dessert.
Sam licked the plate.
No, I didn't.
Pretty much.
No, I didn't.
You would have if there was nobody around.
I thought it was amazing. The date squares were very soft and tasty, and they were warm. And that mixed with the cold ice cream. And then you get some crunchy nuts in there. I thought it was really good. And honestly, I would get it again. And I like I said, we don't order dessert often, but
I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't order desserts ever. I don't buy cookies or something sweet to bring home to eat. But I thought that dessert was fantastic.
It was so good.
It was delicious.
Like, it was maybe my favorite part of the whole thing.
Yeah, it was a combination between the warm date squares,
and they were like, sometimes date squares can be chewy, but they were so soft.
Oh, it was like, yeah, absolutely. And it was a combination of the warm date squares and the cold ice cream.
Yeah.
And the nuts that
combination's the best.
Everything. Yeah, dessert was fantastic.
So overall, what are you giving Jamjar?
Overall, I'm going to give it a
food?
solid 3 out of 5. And I say this because of the third course that was a letdown.
Yeah.
And sure, the first and second course, they were good, but it had some parts to it that I was not a big fan of. So that's why I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. How about you?
3.5.
3.5. Sam's generous here.
I was just gonna say, I think what we're learning is I am a little more generous than you.
Hey man, I'm it's like, I know you shouldn't be comparing like restaurants to restaurants. You should just like, focus on that one place and one review. But hey, in this fucking world where every corner of the street, like this town, there's a restaurant popping up every minute, you should be comparing them together.
Totally.
Right.
All right. So let's move on to service.
Service, our specialty.
That's right.
Okay. Who, you want to go first or should I go first?
You can go first.
All right. So service, we first walked in. There are 2 tables ahead of us, 2 groups ahead of us. They're both groups of 5. The hostess, which at this point I wasn't sure if there was a hostess, but I think he was. Anyway, he took our name down. He said it's going to be about 15 minutes. Takes our name, and I'm going to get real deep in this shit. He takes our names down, and we're like, okay, cool.
And my phone number.
And your phone number. And it's like, okay, call Sam when our table's ready. Cool. Done. So we leave. We go somewhere. We grab a beer. And we're like looking at the fucking clock. It's been 30 minutes. Nothing. We're like, all right, well, let's fucking go back and see what's up. We go back, and same guy recognized us. And he's like, hey, Sam, right? I'm like, okay, cool. He remembers us. That's cool. Table's ready. I just got to like wipe it, reset it. You're good to go. All right, no worries. Seats us, tells us about the features, tells us about everything. Okay, cool. And then he basically takes off. Then he comes back with water, I believe. Yeah, he brings us water. And this is something I didn't tell you, but this is how I felt. Because eventually our server came around to us. Hey, what can I get you? Blah, 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 blah. I felt like I was like at a doctor's office where like the nurse like sees you in this room and you're just like sitting there waiting, and then like you see the server going around, and the server comes up to you and it's like, hey, how's it going? What can I get you? And then the server would go away, and then the host would come back and like do something. You know, it was kind of weird.
That's a weird analogy.
It was weird because it felt like that the host was doing everything. Those was kicking ass, and the server was just moving around.
Well, it was just the two of them on the floor. I think that guy was probably the manager
the host, whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't just two of them on the floor. The bartender was also taking tables.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not important. I'm just saying that's how for some reason that's what I thought. It's a weird fucking analogy because I serve for a living as well, so
yeah,
I do that as well. But it was just weird. It was just weird. So yeah, don't take that into consideration giving you a review or giving you a rating for this. I'm not. That was just like a little thing that I thought.
A little aside.
Yeah, a little something on the side. No big deal. So the service. So we get that. They're both lovely people. Super nice. Server's really nice. And takes our drink orders and, prompt. One thing was interesting was that my beer, which I ordered in 16 ounces, was they ran out of glassware. So they brought me a beer, like a small beer, and I'm like, hey, is this supposed to be 16 ounces? And the guy's like, oh, right, I'm supposed to tell you. I'm sorry, I forgot. This is like an 8 ounce. Drink it, and I'll bring you another one.
Right.
It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
Service wise, right? I mean, this is something we do, and I would not do that.
Yeah.
But again, in my head, it wasn't a deal breaker. I was like, all right, cool, man, whatever.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. If this was another establishment, a little bit more of a high end thing,
more fine dining.
Yeah, then fuck that.
Yeah.
So I was okay with it. It was totally fine. One thing I did notice is, I already mentioned this, that the server failed to mention that they ran out of lamb. They basically
that was a flag for me. So he didn't tell it because we ordered this tasting menu, and maybe we're very much looking forward to the lamb sausage. Yeah. That's part of the third course.
There you go.
And when we order it, there's no mention of, hey, by the way, the lamb's not going to be in there. We're going to do an extra chicken.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not even big fans of chicken, and we're like, well, there's chicken on it, but whatever. Yeah. But now all of a sudden we have extra chicken.
Yep.
And it's like when he dropped off the food, he was like, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you there's no lamb, so there's 2 chickens here.
Yeah.
Not like, is this okay? It was just like, oh, shit, I forgot to tell you. That was really the biggest issue for me.
Yeah, no.
Because you have to, as a server, you have to have open communication with your guests in terms of everything so that you make sure the guest is getting exactly what they want.
That's right. That was a red flag for me as well.
Yeah.
As soon as it happened. But again, it wasn't like, I was like,
well,
by that
the
point,
rest of the service kind of made up for it because they were very friendly.
Very friendly.
They were warm. They were friendly. The service was prompt.
And here's the thing, us being professionals in this industry, one thing I was looking at is, what do the servers do on their downtime?
Right.
What does the host do on their downtime?
Are they busy, or are they just standing around while you need something?
Table next to us left on our left-hand side. They left, and I was like, okay, as soon as they got up and left, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to time how long it'll take someone to come bust this table.
Right.
Because the last thing you want to do if you're dining somewhere is sit next to a dirty table.
Totally.
Instant.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
They were very quick on their feet.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was
They were
instantly
running
cleared.
around.
They did a great job in that.
Yeah.
And they were busy. And as someone who does this for a living, I appreciate that. And because I would hate it if, let's say I'm waiting for a little bit more water and I look around and the servers are hanging out chatting.
Yes.
Fuck that.
Which happens a lot.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah.
But if you're waiting for more water and you look and you see the server running around,
you understand.
you understand.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't understand, then fuck you. You should understand.
Then you're a bad person.
Then you're a bad person. There's so many out there. Just
there
so
was
you know.
one other thing that I had a slight issue with for service.
What was it?
Which was the fact that, so this is supposed to be a 3-course meal.
Mm-hmm.
We're about maybe halfway done the first course, and all of a sudden the second course arrives, and we have to ourselves move stuff around the table and make room for the next.
And I think
dish.
that happened because of not necessarily them being short-staffed, because they were very busy.
Yes.
Now, you and I actually had to talk about this. We said maybe since it was, it's a weekday, they didn't expect to be this busy, so they cut someone.
It was a Monday night that we were there.
So they cut someone. They called the server off, so they just went with 2 of them, and that's what was happening. So we don't know. We don't know that. We don't know that. Fuck, can't talk. But I do agree with you.
Yeah.
One thing you do is that you make sure that there's room on the fucking table before you take the food out.
Yeah, and you kind of gauge the vibe of the table, and maybe some tables want that. Some tables want the food to come out quickly. Some tables want to just chill. Anyway, so for those reasons, I gave the service 3.5.
3.5, eh? Okay.
What about you?
I get the service 4 out of 5. And I gave it 4 out of 5 because the way they were handling themselves at a very busy fucking restaurant.
Yeah, I get it.
Just the way they were handling themselves. They had smiles on their faces. They were running around. They were working their asses off. And I thought to myself, if I was in their shoes, I'd be doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. Sure, I would do a couple things differently. But overall, I was very happy with the service. And I would give it 4 out of 5.
All right.
Yeah.
So our last category is value, which I'm just going to go right off the bat and say that I gave Jamjar a 4 out of 5 for value because $61 for 2 people, and it was a lot of food. We were stuffed, and I just think you definitely get your bang for your buck there, and it's probably one of the reasons why I would return because. Even though we didn't like the 3rd course, we would go back and obviously get the stuff that we did enjoy.
Sure.
So I think the value is quite good at Jamjar.
I also agree with you, and I also gave it 4 out of 5.
Oh, there we go. The one category where we're lined up.
I think the value was fantastic. For $61, 3-course dinner for 2, it's totally worth it.
Totally.
Even though the 3rd course was a letdown. The 1st course and some parts of the 2nd course, actually no, the 2nd course as well. They were both just fantastic. They were great. They were really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. So I think it was value wise, it was good. So
here's I guess maybe the biggest question is: would you want to go back?
Yeah. Okay. So I would go back to Jamjar, but. I would go to Jamjar, not for dinner, but I would go there for a snack.
Maybe a cocktail?
Maybe a cocktail. I would go there for a drink and
or maybe dessert.
Dessert, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dessert was very good. I would not go there for dinner. I'm not going to lie. I thought to myself, I'm like, hey, my parents are like big fans of Lebanese food. And I was like, at first course came out and we were having it. And I'm like, in my head, I was like, oh man, this would be a cool place to bring my parents. Mm-hmm. 3rd course let me down because I know my dad loves his entrees. He loves his meat. He loves his chicken. And I knew if he was there with us, he'd be like, what is this? Yeah. Not worth it.
Right.
So because of that, I would go back. Don't get me wrong. I will go back.
Yeah.
But I will not go there for dinner, for an entree or anything like that. I would go there for a snack, drink, dessert, sure. And yeah, that's what I would do.
So what is your overall rating come to?
Overall rating would be basically an average of all my ratings for all the categories. And I'm at 3.6 out of 5.
So, and my ratings in each category brings my overall experience rating to 3.9.
Okay.
However, throughout this recording, I've written down all of our ratings, our respective ratings, made an average of the two of us.
Yep.
And so between the two of us, that comes to an average of 3.75 out of 5. So I think I'm comfortable with that.
3 3/4.
That's right.
All right.
And yeah, I would go back for the same reasons that you said.
would too.
And I would recommend this place
For a
to
happy
people.
hour or for a snack or
Yeah. We also noticed they have a decent happy hour,
So let's
good
talk-
drink and snack specials.
That's right. And let's talk about they have 2 different tasting menus. They have one that was 3 courses.
That's right.
Which we did because we want
To try a lot
to
of
try
different
everything
stuff.
and let you guys know what it's all about. But they do have another tasting menu for $20 cheaper. I think it was like $40 or $41.
It's $39.
$39.
Yes.
There you go.
So that's
That you would
$22
only
cheaper.
get the first 2 courses.
Which I would be completely happy with.
There. So you heard it from us, peeps. If you want to check out Jamjar, we highly recommend for you to go in and try the $39 tasting menu
And get dessert.
and get dessert.
There you
won't
go.
be disappointed.
That's a perfect experience, I think,
Yeah,
at
they
Jamjar on Commercial Drive.
they're good. Service is great, and yeah, it's all we got to say.
Yeah, so hopefully this first segment of Shiftfaced Eats was valuable to somebody.
Yeah,
At the very least, we enjoyed doing it. I mean, we
this is
we're
what we do.
obviously service professionals, and we dine out a lot, and we talk about this stuff on our own anyway. So
On our own, we thought to ourselves that, hey, you know what? We talk about this. This would be, and you know what? Even like I go back to work, or even like to guests that I serve, they ask me about different restaurants, and I give them my opinion, and I tell them about it, and they take a lot of value out of that. And
yes, definitely.
and they enjoy it. So you and I were kind of like sitting around, and we're like, hey, you know what? We do this all the time. We talk
Right.
about this. Why not actually broadcast this, on the podcast? And
Absolutely.
maybe hopefully we'll bring value to someone who is thinking of going to a certain restaurant, but they're not sure. This is our way of helping out. And also, something I really want to emphasize here is that I really also, we both really also want to help out the proprietor, the restaurateur.
Mm-hmm.
If they're listening to this, and hopefully they are, hopefully they'll take some of our suggestions into consideration. We're not telling them that we know more than them or anything like that. It's just what we think, and there are solutions to some problems, and it could be easily fixed.
That's right.
And why not give it a try? And yeah.
So we will be coming at you in a week. We're going to be doing this on a weekly basis. So in a week,
That's right.
Keep your eyes out for our next segment of Shiftfaced Eats, where we will review another local restaurant.
We got it.
Good night.
Good night.
Welcome to Shiftfaced Eats.